Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Books and Betches. I'm Kristen, and with me I have
Erica.
Maria.
I will say,
Oh boy.
when people of a higher caliber education-wise ask me the name of our podcast,
Really?
I have a really hard time saying,
and Betches.
oh, it's Books and Betches.
How often do you speak to people of higher caliber of
So
education?
this past weekend,
Who are these?
this past
High
weekend
caliber.
in New Hampshire, somebody who I regard as a respectful person who I love was like, oh, I'm really into reading, and like listed all these really smart people. And she's like, oh, I was like, oh, I have a podcast. Why did I say that? I don't know. And she's like, oh, what's it called? I was like, Books and Betches. She was like, what? I was like, Books and Betches. And she was like, bitches? And I was like, no.
Not to be confused with bitches.
I was like, no, ma'am. So anyway, rough name. I did say we couldn't think of names. One girl said it. We were all like, yeah, sure.
I stand 10 toes on our name.
That's
I
good.
like it.
That's good.
Betches.
That's good.
Also, there's a whole brand under Betches that does
know.
really well.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah. it's
Oh,
all-
you're right. Yeah. Is that what you stole it? Speaking of stealing.
I don't know. That's a good segue.
That was a really good segue.
You're good at this.
Oh, all right. This is a book podcast. We swear, we spoil, we talk about sex, we suck at podcasting. This week, we're not doing a specific book. We're actually talking about a topic, a very hot topic in the book world, in the world.
Yes.
In
In
general.
the world in general.
What are
Yeah.
we talking about, Erica?
AI.
Whoa.
AI.
No, it's AI. Okay. So AI, what does it stand for?
Artificial intelligence.
I had to say it for maybe somebody out there doesn't know. Maybe somebody.
No, you're right. Maybe someone doesn't know.
Thank you.
There's some like confusion. There is. This is my biggest problem with AI is that I don't think there's a misinformation situation. There is a lack of information with most people that encounter AI. I can wholeheartedly say I don't know enough about AI to like,
Same.
you know what I mean? Like to go toe to toe with like a developer or some
Sure.
shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't know that much. I know enough about kind of both sides of the equation. I know about it in a professional sense. I think we all kind of have experienced it in the professional setting. And there's a really hot conversation right now about AI in the creative fields.
I think we need to break it down between generative AI versus like AI as a whole. I think what we're mostly talking about is generative.
The MML,
LM.
LMM,
Yeah, something
the
like that.
language. What is it called again?
I don't know. We're not prepared for this. I think it's LMN.
LMM.
Yeah.
LMM.
I could be the I don't know how to explain this the best way, but
multi-module. No.
multi-model model? That's a lot of models in there. For me, I have this sort of like inner disdain for the idea
Sure.
of all of the AI things. So I think I purposely like don't read about it.
That's fair.
And that could be that could be a problem.
Yes.
It's like a blissful ignorance thing
And I think that is fine for now.
to an extent.
But I think
until
at
I
some
can no
point-
longer
Ignore
At
it.
some
Run
point,
away.
I think
That's where I'm at.
it's going to be like, you don't want to use a computer.
That's what I'm saying. So I texted you guys this because I watched the Apple WWDC event. Kristen knows this. I watch
Every
basically
motherfucking
every year.
Apple event ever made.
No, not every event. Every year I watch both events. I watch WWDC, which Apple gives to the developers to show off what they're doing with the software. And then I watch the event where they show off the new phone. That's usually the same thing every year.
Yeah.
Good shit, right? But I like to see what they're doing software-wise because it's always the same old thing of like, well, Apple, you're just copying Android 5 years later. But what I noticed in this one was how for Mac OS, there's going to be a lot of AI embedded in there.
Yes. They're
Especially in
already
the
starting to do it.
spotlight feature,
Yeah.
like your search bar feature, you're going to be able to do things in there on a way of like making tasks. Like you're going to open the search bar and say, hey, write this email that says XYZ, that are like doing these tasks in a way that I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to escape. It's not going to be a toggle on my phone to turn off Apple Intelligence, you know?
There's a difference between like generative AI and like really fast computing.
Right.
Right.
That's kind of
And
what
that's
I was
kind
getting
of
at.
so like
it's all coding. That's
for
what this
sure.
all is,
large
yeah.
language model. That's what the LLM is. I'm sorry. And that is like, that's not generative AI.
Right.
It's the LLM is like a thing and generative AI is like something that lives off of it.
Right.
Like it's like a fucking skin tag on it.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it's not.
But my fear is what's hidden beneath it for the generative AI.
So generative AI is anything that is generated that is not already existing. But
Right.
for example, like I use a lot of the AI that's computing. So it's basically just like a really
Same.
fast system
Yep.
to look things up or do a basic task, like something you could do in Excel in a formula or something
Right.
you could do like, you know what I mean? So like that's how I've used it the most is like general like computing.
Right.
And that's where I find it very, very helpful because it's accurate.
People on that side of the world are afraid that we're going to stop using our brain.
That's my fear too.
And that was a big thing that I saw in a YouTube video that I recently watched where I was just like, oh, I need to like write this email. Okay, so think and write the email.
Yes.
And instead of using these tools.
So I don't know. This is where I like don't agree because I have never once used generative AI in a professional setting to write something and I've never not edited it.
You're different.
Like I've never looked at the email
I mean, you're
or
still-
whatever
yeah, I think
and
you're
been
different.
like, yep, copy paste.
You're
no edits.
different.
But people would argue that editing is not enough because those words are being stolen from other people. But then I would argue that's the same thing that happens when you write an email from like, if you're using Google, if you're using any tool, you're technically still like, we're all borrowing words, right? Every piece of literature now is pulling from something. Like when you read, you're gathering ideas, you're
Well,
gathering.
I mean, to some degree, what is fair use, right?
Right.
Like on the internet, like Google is also, whatever. So like, they have to figure out the royalties. They have to figure out like the laws around this. They have to figure out
regulations
Like,
are
how to
I think
pay
we're just still
people
too
and,
early.
like,
I think for
we're
me,
in an
I'm
early
always in
state.
this mindset of like, let me see how it affects things before you give it to everyone in the masses. And that's
Yeah.
There's
sort
a
of
lot
like an issue.
There's
for
a
me.
lot of there's a lot of concern about like safety and like, security with in the professional senses. So one thing that I have kind of learned, again, I'm in professional circles with AI a lot. I work in web design, like
Yep,
that's,
same.
so AI is a skill. It is. It just is like in whether or not you want to learn the skill is up to you, but it is a skill. Using the prompts correctly is something that you have to figure. That's not just something you just like are like, oh, I can figure this out on my own. You have to learn it. You
Yeah.
have to know how to write it properly. You have it's like the same thing as like a SQL thing. Like this is actual like
It's like a new
instructions.
formula in Excel. Like you have to
Yes,
learn how to
it's a
write it correctly.
formula to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And that's where I think so let's kind of move into the book world is like a lot of authors right now are saying that like if you use AI in any capacity, there's kind of like a couple of different people, but the main group is if you use AI in any capacity, like you're not a writer.
Yes, I've seen that everywhere.
And I don't agree with this because I don't live in black and white. I live in the gray, and I believe that there is nuance to this.
That's what I was gonna say. This is a nuanced
just,
conversation.
Like
people are not
like I
doing
said,
it.
when you do research, like they're like I'm not just typing in like tell me about the Byzantine Empire,
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And I think that's what these authors like think is happening, that people are just writing a single sentence of like, this is how I need to do research.
Right.
Is just give me a plot summary about like the Roman Empire.
And just
then
take
I can
that
just
and run with it.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I'm sure some people do that.
Sure,
For
yeah.
sure.
But the point is that like, that's not how you do research in general. And people are like, oh, well, they're just using it in a way. And it's like, well, it's the same thing as like using the system in the library.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
have to learn how to use it the right way with the right prompts, with the right like questions. And then you can also look at the sources like that, like the actual answers are coming from.
But on the research side,
they're
that's
so
one
scared of
thing.
it.
It's just
right?
a fast search.
But
Research
they're
is
saying
one thing.
Any touch
That's what
of
they're
AI
saying.
is you are not a writer.
Well, okay.
Because
Any
when you
touch.
use Google, you're technically using AI. I
They're
mean,
feeding you the Gemini AI first anyway.
Anyway.
You can turn it off.
but it doesn't
Where?
even, either way,
it's a
Show me later.
either way, it's still AI in that aspect, it's all coding. So it's basically a faster search engine is what you're doing. I had a really funny conversation right before you guys got here with my cousin. We were talking about AI and I mentioned the environmental impact. And she's like,
hard line.
She goes, what? I didn't know that. And I go, a lot of people don't. So we're talking about it. I'm like, yeah, it uses all this water, compared to like a regular Google search, which is also not great for the environment. So we're just chatting and she goes, well, how do I learn about this? Do I Google it or is that forbidden? And I started laughing and I was like, I mean, yeah, like we really have relied on the internet in general. And now it's a supercomputer.
But part of that is good, right? Because like me and John laugh about this a lot because John's dad has never touched a computer. He's never Googled anything in his life.
Yeah.
Really? Never.
My dad's
his
the
entire
same
life.
way.
So when like you're in a conversation with him and he's like salt the earth, 70-year-old man, like whatever. And he'll say some fucking crazy ass shit. And we're like, that's not fucking true. And he'll be like, oh yeah, it is.
They say it with such gumption.
It takes 3 seconds to John will be like, I Googled it. It's incorrect. And he's like, I don't know about that.
That's all lies.
Like that is what it used to be. You used to pass on bad information.
Yeah.
Because some
they
fucking
still do.
70-year-old dude said it was true. And now you can fact check it in real time.
AI has also been proven, like ChatGPT has been proven to be wrong as well.
It has, but I have found, this is my personal experience, with a bad prompt. A bad prompt will give you a bad result.
Sure.
And
again, it's all coding.
My problem with people so anti-AI is that if we do end up having to use it, one, bad prompts will require us to do more prompts, therefore more environmental impact, right? So you're searching more, you're asking more questions instead of having a succinct, like really thought out prompt to ask AI, to ask these modules, and then you're getting like a real like answer that's actually like full and complete in a single like search versus like
so digging
tell me
around.
about this. Well, I need more information on this. Well, I need you know what I mean?
Thank you.
Instead of 6 different
saying thank you at the end.
Yeah.
But we're shutting this conversation off at the pass because people are just like, no, you can't use it at all. And it's like, well, shouldn't we be telling people how to use it responsibly?
That same video I was watching I'm not going to mention her name because I'm actually a really big fan of hers. I just didn't necessarily agree with the entirety of this video, though I agreed with a lot of it. When she was saying, if you use it for this, you're lazy. If you use it for this, you're lazy. If you use it for this, you're a piece of shit, whatever. She mentioned like, if you use it for your thumbnails, you're lazy. And I'm like, I bet you've hit that remove background button once or twice. That's AI. And it's like, I just think it's a very nuanced conversation to just sit here and say everything is bad doesn't help the conversation at all. I think of the Industrial Revolution and like the people that got left behind during all of that. And it's
that was bad too.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the point. It's like
I think, what I think about with this? I think about this as Wikipedia. Do you remember like in high school, you're not allowed to use Wikipedia
because people can go in and change it?
Well, it's not a primary source either.
Right.
So that's like people's thing is that like, it's not a primary source and there's bad information and this, that, and the other thing. It's like, well, if you do research, right, you have to do multiple, you have to research multiple.
Do you
can't
think schools are being taught the way we were?
No.
No,
I don't.
But and that kind of scares me.
I bet you they're allowed to use Wikipedia.
It all comes back to it comes back to the like using your brain thing though, and I think that technically, to me, that's a strong argument where yes, there's prompts that you need to think of. You are using your brain in that sense, but I think
you need the foundation of how to do research.
Yeah,
you need the foundation of knowing when to ask the like a additional question or like this doesn't sound right or like I need to look at this source. I need to like
now here's my question. If somebody goes into ChatGPT or whatever and says, write me a paragraph for my book, because you're like stuck on something, right? And you're like, write me a paragraph like how this is what my characters are like, this is the story, write me a paragraph on how I can move this plot forward. I think that's entirely wrong.
Yeah,
I think it's wrong on a lot of different levels, and I'm curious how you feel about it.
So I think that if you take out the royalties factor, you take out the copyright factor, right? And I assume we'll get to that point where they'll figure out, okay, only copyrighted works, or if it is copyrighted, then there's a royalty that gets paid out. Like they have to
That'd
figure
be really
out,
interesting. That'd be hard to do.
I know, but they have to figure out something because this, like, if you take out the stolen works aspect of it, why or how is this any different from a ghostwriter or an editor?
Tough.
If you take the money out, if you take the stolen works aspect out of it, why is it different from somebody else writing it for you?
Because it's a computer, not a human, I guess.
But that's
I
not.
think
I don't think.
I think for me it comes down to the stolen works aspect.
But exactly. So is it so? But I bet you those people online that say you can't touch, you can't do AI would not say that. I think they would still say it's wrong.
I
Because
probably would.
part of it, their argument is not just the stolen works; it's the laziness factor.
Yeah, I
It's
think
the-
also
it's
it's
the
just
creative.
It's the creative process of it, and I think every creative has that sort of innate feeling of
Like
well,
protecting the
I've
craft.
put so much effort into my craft, and to now be in a world where others can achieve what I've achieved or more than what I've achieved in less time with less effort. Some folks can feel bitter about it. Again, I can understand it. It's a human emotion, and folks are allowed to have that.
Yeah.
I think personally, if it was myself, right, and I've wanted to write books, I have ideas, but I can't sit there and do it because I know I don't have the mindset for it sometimes. Like I can't sit there and build my fantasy world,
Right.
right? But I'm not gonna go into ChatGPT and say, look, this is my basis of my fantasy world. Help me build it out.
I think.
But what I
people are-
have done is I've gone to my best friend Kate and we bounce ideas.
yeah.
To me, I think that's a more, I don't want to call the word proper, but that's the first thing that comes to my head.
It's because she's British.
Yes.
Brainstorming is.
But brainstorming is what I would want to go to first for the creative field. And since we're speaking about writing specifically.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
For me, if you want to use it in the sense of like, I had the first 50 pages of my novel help me progress the plot. I would prefer to sit and brainstorm with you two
Yeah.
on a story than feed it into an AI model.
Yes, that triggered my argument to you, which would be, and this is just me speaking for everybody, not for everybody, but for like, I'm not saying this from my heart. But actually I kind of am. If the difference would be between a ghostwriter and using the AI is somebody just lost a job. And I think that is what this could also circle back to.
If you want to talk about ethical use, you want to talk about environmental, you want to talk about royalties, I'm all there. I'm
Right.
there with you.
Right.
And I again, personal use, don't use it. So
Sure.
like, I'm not pro AI in
You're
any
just
capacity.
always a good arguer.
Yeah.
It's my personality
Yes,
type.
it is.
This is why I wanted to bring it up.
I love talking to her about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could debate both sides of any fucking
Sure.
coin. But what my point is that I think we have to have these conversations because there is this. We are going to get to that point.
Yeah.
we're going to get to a point where it is ethical and it is like okay.
Do you think
use
so?
AI.
Because I don't
do.
think in the next 10 years that's going to happen
Well,
if things
I mean,
remain the way
I
that
think
they are
it'll
now.
all depend.
It depends.
By person.
There's gonna
and
be a
every
couple of
person's
lawsuits.
ethical line.
There is going to be a couple
There's gonna
lawsuits.
be a
Disney's already
There's a
on
couple
it.
of really big lawsuits out there right now with J.R.R. Martin
Yep.
and
Disney.
some really big authors that, the Supreme Court, I think eventually are going to get. And we'll see how that like pans out. And that's going to set precedent for,
That's the thing. I think we have to see
we
things
have to
set
see
precedent.
how it all rolls out. As of right now, I don't think you should be, but like, I also think that it's crazy that you can't put a single sentence into AI and be like, help me figure this out better.
Right. I want
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I like, and I get that that's a slippery slope because it's like, well, how many sentences is
What's your line?
what's the line
So
look like?
going back to what you were saying about like creative, I do want to read this one text from Gayton. Gayton is a friend of mine who's like really in the AI world because I thought this question has really made me think, where he was saying, if I have a creative vision, like I know what I want to make and I can see it in my mind's eye, where is there such a gag reflex if that thing was made with text prompts versus endless layers on Photoshop and so on? So it's like,
Break that down for me.
so
I didn't compute that.
he's basically saying, like, if I have this vision in my head and I could picture it, what's the difference between me using prompts to get to that vision versus endless layers in Photoshop? If you're using your own, like, recently he has his own
Skill.
artwork,
Putting in all of his artwork into
his own personal artwork that he drew, and he's using generative AI to make it like animated. So it's like, and he's getting a lot of shit for it. People are saying that's still stealing
So
work.
he's
and stuff.
putting his art,
yes,
right? He's an amazing artist. I've
Yeah.
seen his drawings.
yeah, into
It's great.
ChatGPT.
Okay.
And creating some sort of prompts that
To change
allow it to animate as
Well, then
opposed
the
To move
animation,
it.
the animation part.
well,
is the
to
part
move it
that's
and it
being-
becomes 3D versus 2D.
Okay.
So there's more texture. There's more like it is adding.
I think
yeah.
my gut reaction here, and again, I could be wrong on this. I'm very fresh to this world, is skill.
Exactly.
It comes down to like, I remember when we were at our last job
Fucking
and
bingo.
things were like slow,
Mhm.
I sat and tried to teach myself After Effects for hours.
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me that now because I have the vision in my head too, but I still need the skill to get to that. I don't have ChatGPT to help me get there.
Right. Right.
I have my own, my own hard work of hours and hours to learn those fucking pen tools,
So do you think prompting and working with AI could become a skill?
Yes, I do.
I think
It
in a
is.
sense, sure.
AI
If
is
you
a
put
skill.
it in that form, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm thinking about it in a traditional sense of what art is from what he does, from what I've done in video, I can't equate that yet. I can't sit there and think that giving prompts, giving sentences of saying, make
Is a
this
skill.
more 3D,
I'm
make
so
this
with you
more.
on that, though.
I can't. I'm sorry.
I
I
know.
can't do that.
I
I
know.
think the 3D aspect of it is still taking learned behavior from other 3D art.
So that's what he was saying. He was saying like he's thought about, pulling from people's art. He's been thinking about that a lot. And he's like, I didn't know how to draw cartoons. He learned how to draw cartoons by referencing other people's
For
work.
sure. Most
Same
artists
with
do.
writing, right? You didn't just write a book, you read first, and we literally get inspired by that
Right.
work and we
But
essentially copy
now
things to it.
what is his style now?
Right.
His style is his own. He might have referenced something before. We
Yeah.
might all reference a
It's-
book that we like, or an author style, a writing style that we like. Maybe someone's more lyrical, maybe some is more like simple. We might start off with that kind of thing, but once we get to the point where we believe in our work, it should be our voice.
I think it's the sanctity of the craft.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, like, and that's why I don't like the author arguments on this, because I don't think they're saying the right thing. I think they're,
I think they come from
they're-
a biased.
yeah, but like, I think it's like they're saying the wrong things, and the arguments are like just they're bad faith arguments a lot of the time, and like I don't think that they hit. My biggest problem too is that when people have real questions, it's like educate yourself, and it's like
Yes.
this is
Okay.
so fucking
Okay.
new. This topic is so new.
None of us are educated
People
enough yet.
do not know
Exactly.
enough about this. Like,
Exactly.
and I would argue none of us know enough about. I wouldn't.
There's
even
too
argue
much
there's a
misinformation in
person
general.
Unless
that-
you're a developer who's developing.
Developing
Yeah,
AI.
unless
Yeah.
you are the guy who runs ChatGPT.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
So, Victoria A. Aveyard, the author of what's it called? The Red Queen series. She's kind of a hot take on TikTok and stuff, and she kind
heard
of
about
shoots
this a
from her.
little bit.
She
Yeah.
shoots from her hip pretty often. She kind of like
I
blew
like
up.
that. I like that phrase. She's from the hip.
Me too.
She does. I appreciate somebody who is that like bitchy online. I
Gives
don't
no fucks
agree
attitude.
with 90% of what she says,
Okay.
but I appreciate her like sharp tongue, I guess, in
Right.
some capacity. So
Sure.
like, but she basically made a huge stir because she alluded, and I don't agree. Again, I don't really agree with a lot of what she said. She made a comment on a video. She has like over 1 million followers, probably 2 million actually. And she said, there's somebody in traditional publishing that is using AI to write their books. And we've been talking about, like, other authors have been talking about it, and like not as nice as what I'm saying, but she was just like, basically she said like the indie world has been infected by this. Like, don't let traditional publishing get like this too.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Like, don't try to like pass
You
your
can't
like
sit with
indie-
us
Yeah.
energy.
Don't pass your like indie slop of writing,
Whoa.
like AI writing, into traditional publishing.
Interesting.
So it got people fucking buck wild. Like, this thing was crazy.
Another Tuesday in the book community.
Yeah, literally.
People went
I'm so scared of the book
apeshit over
community, man.
this. Oh my God. I think what it brought up an interesting conversation, because there's the accusation that like an entire book could be created by AI, right? And my point against this is, if it could and they sold and they went viral, corporations would fucking cut authors in a heartbeat.
Right. We talked about this for the Silver Elite conversation.
If it was good enough to sell, they would do it.
You think
Yeah.
so?
100%.
Right. Yeah.
They're the first
No,
persons
you're right, you're right. Yeah.
they're the
They don't
first
wanna
person
pay
that-
off.
I have
Others?
too much like good faith in people, and I'm like, corporations, you dummy.
People, but corporations would
right.
100%.
I'm
Immediately.
not familiar enough with publishing. Like, are they like the same as like that corporate world where I genuinely don't know anything?
Shareholders are the same in all, in my opinion.
Fair, yeah.
On all aspects. All
Like,
they
does
care about
publishing
is their
make
bottom
that
dollar.
much money?
They're making money now ever since COVID.
Yeah.
Everybody became a reader again.
Well, no, romance has always made.
I mean, romance, yes, but I'm saying like Barnes and Noble is now opening more stores
Fascinating.
since like
I mean,
COVID
they closed
became
borders.
They
know,
closed,
for a
but
reason.
didn't they buy Borders? Someone
Oh my
bought
God, I
Borders
forgot about
out.
Borders.
I know.
So-
Borders is my jam growing up.
I think it's interesting because people are like very concerned about the sanctity of the craft, right? But it's
I
like,
agree with that,
But
by
then
the
they
way.
also say, like on the same side of their tongue, they're the same side of the mouth, they're saying that like AI writing is shitty. So it's like, well, is it shitty
Is it shitty or is it not?
or is it not?
Because y'all are giving 5
If
stars.
it's shitty, then why are you threatened by it?
I want to say,
know what I
can't,
mean?
I want to say too, because we're talking about this, we're, kind of putting AI in a positive light, which I don't think is a
I'm
problem.
not. I don't think I am.
Well, I just want to say, like, when especially generative AI and in the writing world, like, I fucking hate it. I hate
Yep.
the idea
Yep.
of people writing anything with AI. The research thing is where I'm like, if you're using it to research and you're still looking at articles, you're still doing what you need to do, but it's just like pulling all the articles for you. I see no problem with
Even
that.
then, I don't trust it.
I see
I
no
can write a
problem
prompt
with
that's
that.
like, give me 40 primary source articles about this.
Exactly. I see no problem with
You know
that.
what I mean?
Minus the environmental impact, which is we're putting that over here
Again,
for now.
yeah, put that on the.
But as far as like using it creatively, I agree with people who say, I'm afraid we're going to stop using our minds. And I think creativity and art, I do think we put it on this, I forget what the words that you used, but like it's like on a pedestal, right? Like art is art.
sanctity of the
Yes,
craft.
the sanctity of the craft. And I think that's really important because we went to school for so long to study the craft, to learn about like how do we use our creative minds. Like I don't know, it almost feels like a safe place in this crazy world of being like, my creativity is mine.
Art is usually the escape
Yes,
that everyone uses for this stuff.
exactly.
It's also like the beginning of fascism when you
Yes.
lose art.
What doesn't help this argument, yes.
I fucking
what
hate AI. I just
doesn't
wanna make that
help
clear.
this
Not
argument
all AI,
either
but yeah.
is that I don't know what author did it. Whenever I see some kind of book drama come on my Instagram, when I scroll for happiness, I go away.
Right.
But it has come up before where I guess an author used a prompt and left it in their book.
I saw that.
And the
It was
prompt was
bad.
like, make this paragraph sound more like this other author.
Like you
Yeah.
can't do that's
That is
insane.
so-
when that
crazy.
is starting to pop up, that's a problem.
That's
Yes.
what's kind of like prompted all of this is like that situation and like
the recent one.
yeah, it's just I mean it's crazy and there's people too that are arguing in comment sections and there's just it's black and white. It's like there's
Everything's
no
black and white in
ability,
a comment section.
I think
no
that's my
ability
point
to
too.
talk
Like,
about it.
I've had conversations with this at work, and people get up in arms. They get aggressive when you say like, "I don't like AI." People get angry about that, which I understand. But my point is like, there are things that I think AI could be really, really good for, especially the medical community.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many things where I could see it being really useful, but I think I'm allowed to say that this part scares me, or I don't like the way that this part works. I think that's fair.
You have every valid right to say
But
that.
I think it's more nuanced than just saying it all sucks, don't use it. The amount of people who are like, if you use it for an email or if you use it for this, then you're like a piece of like I think it's more nuanced than that. Is
Well,
really
most
what I'm
things
getting
now
at.
on the internet is very dire, and everything's very much like
I don't know,
you're a piece of
like-
shit for whatever you do.
Right.
not for nothing.
Out of their iPhones that are made by people who have no life or money in China.
Right.
If somebody's gonna get up my fucking ass about writing an email, like an AI email,
Yeah.
they can go fucking take a long walk on a short fucking bridge. Because
I was waiting for it.
Like, where's she going with
I
that?
don't know.
get
It's
the
good there.
fuck, you're gonna come at me in my professional world. Get
But also, like, why are you in my business?
Why are you in my business?
Like, mind the business that pays you.
Now we know. Now we
it-
know who's writing AI emails.
I mean,
You know what's so interesting? I don't know if it happens to you guys.
Complicated email.
I don't know how it happens. Do you
I
have
don't.
people critique your emails?
No.
Have I had it happen before? maybe.
I write the most unhinged emails.
I work in customer success.
So you're different.
I'm client facing.
Yeah, you're client first.
For me to write an email, sometimes I have to deliver really bad news to a client.
Yeah, I feel that.
I know how to write the email, but I'm like, would it be better if I said, I need to say this in this way, but I don't want to sound like a bitch, but I want to make sure that this...
I say this to say, because like in my job, I don't talk to clients.
So
I rarely
you
speak
don't need
to...
AI
I don't need it. I don't
need
at all.
it, yeah.
I don't even speak to like people at a higher level. If I ever do, it's rare. But this might be a problem for me because I have a problem with authority. But like, I'm very much like, I don't need to kiss ass. So I don't really care to write a long ass like email. I'll say I'm very cordial.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning. I hope you had a wonderful, if it's a Monday, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Hope you and the team are doing well if it's a lot of people on the thread. But like I've heard of other people like on my like department being criticized for either writing too short of an email or not being
hate me.
And also it's usually to women.
Yeah,
Here's a question. That's his thing. So usually to women, it's like, oh, you're not sounding happy enough. It's like, are you telling me to smile through a fucking screen?
Damn.
Because you're not gonna get it from me. And I'm usually like, here's the link. Thanks.
I send the most unhinged email. I'll like put in like a meme randomly, even if it's to like a
GIFs
VP
in there
or something. I don't care
because
I think this unearths a bigger problem, which is humans are way too fucking serious, man. Yeah. We're on a floating rock. We're all gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
And I know that's not a nuanced thing to say, and it's very black and white. But at the same time, it's like, why are we taking each other so fucking seriously? Who gives a shit? I know people get mad at me when I say that, but either way. I think using generative AI to steal other people's work, that's a big part of the conversation. The other part of the conversation is brain rot. And then also art should be something that is protected, I think. So.
I think that as well.
I can agree with that.
I've always said too, I mean, I like try to preach this in my own life, is that my mind can be changed, but I need to see things.
Think if you are using AI in any capacity, whether it be in your personal or your professional life, you need to learn how to use it better. You just do. If you plan to use it, you need to like take a course on it. You need to get on LinkedIn, follow people who are posting about prompts and like posting about different AI modules that like are doing specific things for you and like what that looks like. You have to do like. I mean, it sounds redundant, but like do your research on AI.
Right.
Like, how do I use this tool better, especially because of the environmental impact? Like,
yes.
I can't stress this enough. Your reckless use of AI, just because you refuse to learn about it, won't be an excuse forever. Mm-hmm. Like, just because you didn't take the time to learn it. And now you're like fumbling through prompts.
I saw like a LinkedIn post a while back where some guy was like, we need to like stop just, we need to submit and be okay. You're going to get left behind. And he was reacting to...
That's fear mongering.
I don't like that way of looking at things, but he was also reacting to a movie or a script had won an award and it was all AI generated. And it's like, that scares the fuck out of me. I don't know.
Again, like I think if they could do it and it was as good as like people's imaginations, I think they would be doing it by now.
They probably are.
Are they?
I mean, I worry about it for the junior people in our career.
Yeah.
I worry about it, the assistant editors, the little interns coming in, like trying to learn the craft.
Couldn't agree more.
I think people were saying the same thing about computers, though. I think they were saying like these kids don't know how to research in books. Like
for sure.
I think
100%. Yes.
Very similar, like verbiage and arguments. Mm-hmm. And I just think that you need to. I think they need to teach kids how to use AI better.
You need to teach kids in general.
You know what I mean?
I think we're always going to need a human touch regardless.
I agree. And most professionals that talk about AI in any capacity will tell you that too. Yeah. Like, yes, there are going to be jobs that get taken away with AI. And to be honest with you, like there's a reason for that because they're computing, it's computers. It's not the AI aspect.
Right. That's a good point.
It's the ability to do a faster function.
I'm like I said, on that front, I'm down. Cool. Computing, okay. Creative.
Yes, that's where I kind of draw the line.
But you'll never be able to replace that.
You say that. Hopefully. We say that. But the people who like to run these companies
I know they think
that only care about their bottom dollar do not care that.
I can wholeheartedly and confidently and proudly say I would never use ChatGPT or AI. I have to use AI at work, although I haven't really been using it, to be honest with you. But I could proudly say that I've never written an email with ChatGPT or did my fucking groceries with ChatGPT.
Oh my God,
There's people that use it for everything, and I've used it. Use your brain, man.
Very sparingly professionally, but the only personal use that I have done is like I'll write the full like if I'm like in a personal problem with somebody, I'll write out the full context of the thing, and I'll be like, who's right?
Do you always win?
No, not always. I think AI is pretty good about being like, this feeling is valid from this person, and this feeling is valid from that
People are using it for
I
therapy.
did read part of one article
again,
where ChatGPT was sort of trying to cater itself to give you the answer it thought you wanted to hear.
Well, that's what it does.
Also, people more.
I don't know if I like that.
I also watched
do
a
that.
video recently that relationships are becoming a big thing, like AI relationships.
Yeah.
And they're actually going to start investing a lot more money into this. And people are going to have AI partners.
Yeah,
So you
because
know
no
what?
one's worth it anymore. Anyway, we gotta end this.
Wait. I'm confused though, because wasn't Smarter Child AI?
I don't know what that is.
Remember Smarter Child? Like the on AIM?
I remember Smart House.
No, remember AI? Like on
Smart is what I was
AM?
thinking about.
AIM
The messenger?
Oh, yeah.
And you
Smarter
have-
Child. You just fucking awakened
I've never used that on
memory.
AIM. No.
You didn't use any of the
It's like
robots?
Slackbot. Do you ever use Slackbot?
You didn't talk to
I
any of the
never use any robots.
I
babe.
don't use it either, but it
I never use
exists.
Slackbot. When Slackbot comes up
But
on my
you know
Slack,
what that is, though.
on Slack, yes.
So they had that version for AIM, but it was called Smart Child, and you can like talk to it. It was,
Oh,
like,
never.
talking
You
to a
could
robot.
have real conversations.
Yeah.
with
I
it.
forgot about
when
that.
Slackbot
Was
comes
that
up, I say
AI?
go away.
That's a good question, Erica.
Or was that just like a robot that like had prompts?
If you're listening,
What about
and you know
Paperclip?
anything about this,
Was Paperclip AI?
that's another thing. If you're using any of that,
Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't mention this. Wait a minute.
It's a
There
long-
was-
40 minutes.
Wait,
That's fine,
There
that's
was
good.
an author. There's an author recently that got on, and she was just like, I'm not even gonna name her because if you know, you know. But she got on Threads, and she was like,
Always Threads.
it's always Threads.
"Y'all are stupid about this
Y'all.
AI stuff. Roombas are AI." GPS are AI, like just went off about like all these random things that are not AI. Let me just tell you, Roombas are not AI. In case you were fucking curious, not AI. GPS, not AI. And was just like, you have AI in all of your like daily like things, and people are. I saw a meme.
How do you not just
I
laugh at
saw
that
a
though?
meme. She was like on a bestseller list.
I would read that and
and
go,
they-
well, she's dumb, and then move on.
instead of the fucking name, somebody put Roomba over her name.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Anyways, but yeah, like again, I think we're not misinformed. I think we're uneducated.
Beautiful. That's a good way to
all.
end it. I'll pass the questions off to you. Okay, now I can't say it like Philly D.
Yeah, every time.
I got to end with questions. Is Roomba AI?
Also, this is you can go right here.
Oh, okay. Well, I never look at that one.
Roomba
Like,
is
None
not
of us
AI.
ever do, but
okay,
it's there.
All right.
It's there for us.
How do you feel about AI? Are you scared? Are you mad? I think a lot of people are mad. And where do you see this going in the future? And what regulations would it take to make you feel better about it? I think that's a good
lot.
question. Yeah.
A lot. I think it should be
I
extremely.
wasn't asking you. I was
heavily
asking them. I
regulated.
was asking
Erica,
them.
it's supposed to be the end of the episode.
Heavily regulated.
Reach out to
Call-
us in Discord or
Call your Congress members about AI regulations.
Okay, good way to
I love
end.
that.
Follow us on Instagram. That's books_n_betches, BETCHES. Erica might be posting threads, and Maria and I have
we don't
nothing
know
to do
about.
about
We have
that.
no idea what she's doing.
Click the link in the link
Threads
tree.
is fucking wild.
Oh
man.
no! Oh,
The
no.
fight she's probably getting into.
I don't even want to know. Subscribe to us on,
YouTube.
and thank you so much for being here. We'll catch you next week. We love you. Goodbye.
Bye.